Usually you pay for PPV, but this is free and this is real TV. Grab your cup, pour that drink, roll that blunt, and tell us what you think. Commas come pouring in, women be exposing, man. Fellas start to open up, shorties feeling down to fuck. It's a safe place, spill that tea. That cup is hot, don't let it fall on me. And the stage you keep it funky, might speak for she think. Vibe from the BX, don't even try stink. Eva keep us humble, she consider your feels. And Tati got 3 kids, you better pay them bills. Time is money, make sure your clock is right. Sliding in DMs, you make sure your stock is tight. Ladies, they gonna tell you if you ain't rocking right. I'm telling you, dude, don't end up on top of tonight. It ain't all jokes, get serious too. If I can help what happened to me, not happen to you, it makes it worth it. Let's get drunk on purpose. Start telling stories we would never tell in person. It's real TV.
Welcome.
Hello.
Happy Saturday.
Happy
Hi,
Saturday.
ladies. How you
Shout out to
been? I feel
everybody
like I
that's
haven't seen you on
tuned in.
forever.
I know
It
it's been a
has been
long
a
time.
minute.
Summer is, I just, realized summer is hard to be consistent with,
Yeah, we probably
all
need to
different
work on
things coming up.
hiatus times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now that it's the end of summer, we're gonna get back to it. Back to the every week. School's about to start. I feel like it's back into the flow of everything, right? In a normal
It's back
schedule.
to a little normal flow.
Yeah. If it's your first time, welcome to TV. This is where we talk about everything and anything. My name is Anastasia.
I'm Eva the Diva.
And as always, Latchkey Valerie Mac. How you guys doing?
Good, good. Shout out to everybody that's been watching us, subscribing, still supporting us. Really appreciate y'all. You already know the deal. You can share the link. We posted it in our Instagram page. I also posted in my own comments, ask questions. We love to talk to everyone that hops on through the episode. I'm really excited. I wouldn't even say excited. I think that's the wrong word for today's episode, but more probably like passionate about this episode that we're doing today because it's, as of recently, it's becoming really bad. So, online predators. Are our children really safe?
No.
Especially now that everything is so tech, right?
hmm
Kids are not playing outside anymore. They're more on iPads or the handheld devices, right? Like Nintendo.
The
Remember back in the
Switches and
day,
stuff like
DS?
that. Even just sometimes online gaming too.
Yep. Online gaming. And what's funny is that I used to work in a dental office, right, as a dental assistant for a little bit. And my boss, the dentist there, she had a daughter, and she let her daughter play Roblox. I'm sure everyone's aware of that game, right? That kids play. And on Roblox, there's certain like rooms in there that adults pose as kids. And then, because I'm not really a gamer, I think Val's the gamer out of the group.
Yeah.
That's why she
I play
identifies
games,
with my
but not
kids.
like I used to, right? And there's rooms in Roblox where you create the characters, and they were gangbanging like a kid, but like virtually. And she caught it while her daughter was playing. And then it just made me think, bro, like, okay, so many kids playing these games, right? And your kid's occupied, right? So you're gonna go about and do whatever you're doing. But how you really know what they're seeing or who they're talking to? Even on these kids' games.
You don't?
I I'm so confused as to how that happens because you should be one monitoring it. You also teaching kids this a certain age thing that they need to understand that there's certain things they
Mhm.
shouldn't be going into. But what sick person? I don't understand why people look at children. They're kids.
Sick, bro. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I feel
And
like it's something that's becoming a little too trying to be, I think, a little bit too on the normalizing it.
yeah, because
Yeah.
wasn't
Where I
it?
don't see
It
that.
was one of you that told me, right, about the
They're trying to act
normalizing like
like it's the
pedophiles, right?
LGBTQ. Yeah, exactly. Like they can't control what they're attracted to, and this is something that should be normalized. No, it's
Hell
not.
no, bro.
No.
Hell no.
This,
Does
God knew
that
what
mean
he
And
then
was
then
you're
doing me
attracted
giving
to
me
your own
kids. I'll
children?
stab somebody.
and then
Ew,
that
no.
question comes into play.
Yeah.
That's
That question
disgusting.
comes into
So
play because
I watched the video
ugh,
today. They caught a guy, and he, admitted that he met up with two girls at two different times, real girls, because they do these things, and one was 12, and I think the other one was 16. So the guy asked him, and he's like, "Well, you have a daughter of your own, even though she's young right now," and he's like, "You don't think that's going to be a problem for you in about like 10 years of being attracted to her?" You know what this man said? Yeah, maybe.
I'm afraid to ask.
Yeah, maybe. He said, "Yeah,
Wow.
maybe."
Wow. 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 No, the
What the
reason
fuck?
I don't understand that, first of all. That, and you don't know what kind of person, kind of shit that they think and things that they don't say, and then like you won't get caught doing this. Like, it's sick. Like,
Mm,
it's
Well,
crazy the stuff
if
that
you get
on.
away with it a couple times, you're gonna start feeling like you can get away with it until you don't.
It's fucking disgusting. TikTok has been doing a lot of I guess it's citizens exposing
Citizens
predators.
arrest type of
Y-
thing.
yes.
Yeah, and they
Mhm.
go and tell everyone that this is what they're doing, their spouses, and there's situations where the spouse is involved and
Yes.
they know.
Yes.
Which
And
is
I'm
now
like,
becoming more like frequent of
I
how
don't think
many of
it's
these
more
cases,
frequent. It's just now more in the forefront because of social media. I
which
don't
is
think this is
insane.
Yeah,
something that's brand new.
it's not because I remember even watching. I don't know. Was it like Deadline? Deadline, was it Deadline News or something like
Dateline.
that? And I remember there was
Nightline,
always like a
Nightline, I
show,
think it's
Nightlight,
called.
something like that, where there was a
Yeah,
show that they would
2020
actually do these
Nightline.
setups
Hmm.
for predators like that too. So it's not. Yeah,
There
you're
you
right. It's
go.
not something that's new.
Hi, Hugo. Good evening,
Hi,
ladies. Catching up, and
Hugo.
holy hell, this hits close to home. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. Oh my
Hey.
gosh.
Hits close to home because you have children, or hits close to
Hey,
home
Hey,
because,
Joe.
ladies.
because you
Dateline. Yes,
It
that
is
Dateline.
one.
Dateline,
Thank
Dateline
you.
NBC.
Because
How
so
to
Hugo,
Catch a
have you
Predator.
How
experienced
to Catch a Predator. There you go.
anything like this? So a lot of these organizations, right, that you guys have been seeing on TikTok, some that I watch is Pet Patrol, which is
Hugo, I have
a
two
guy.
young kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's freaking scary
It's scary.
because I think about it, and if I caught someone trying to take advantage of my child, I think that will cause me to go to jail. I'm killing
That part.
Girl.
somebody.
In a
That part.
heartbeat.
Yeah.
Killing somebody. Like,
In a
Mhm.
heartbeat.
Yep. So the organization I watch a couple of them, right? So one of the guys I watch is Pet Patrol. He does it from out of Colorado, and he started the organization because somebody molested his 14-year-old son,
mm,
and he decided like, hell no, we have to get out there and really catch these people, right? Because cops don't always catch them.
right.
So if I'm not mistaken, now he had 200 and something catches and got like 185 arrested.
Wow.
That's amazing, actually.
Yeah, that.
Hey yo, what the
Oh,
fuck?
sorry, the wrong button. Um,
Technical
it's not
difficulties.
There you go.
it's
Let's give
not
him a round of
everybody that will
applause.
take their time out of their day because one, you don't know how these people are going to react when you come up to them,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
and he does
dangerous.
have it on camera. There was other organizations I watched too. So, Team Loyalty. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but it's a guy that was a plumber. He's out of Queens. He was even on the news at one point, doing it in New York. Bro, there was a guy from Staten Island coming went to Brooklyn to meet a 14-year-old boy, and that's when you're like, because I'm from Staten Island, so it's like, what?
It's in your backyard.
Yeah, yep. And he would
I mean,
go
this.
live though. He wouldn't just record it and then post it. He would do it live, so you was seeing it in real time of him catching up in the street, addressing like, this is what you're doing, who to meet up. I have the chat logs, blah blah. Cops come on scene, all that stuff.
Unreal.
It's
Unreal.
okay. It's one of those things, and like Val, you said, as a parent, you should be monitoring your kids. I'm a hover mom, and even sometimes at a distance, like
Yeah.
right now, both
Like,
my
what are you
kids
doing?
are teenagers.
Right.
About to be
My
17.
peripherals be on. Like I need to
Yes.
see what.
Yes. Like my child is so close to even becoming an adult.
Hmm.
It's
Or
important though to be
my
that way.
child, my other one is, she's 15, but and everybody kind of like asks like why, like they find it weird in a sense.
Hell no.
But my kids don't have social media.
Yeah, they don't
My
need it at
kids
that age
don't have
anyway.
access to things like that for this specific reason.
And that's a great thing.
Like they barely have a phone that they can both use. Like old school is okay, guys. Old school is okay. I promise they'll be fine. They can be angry, whatever they want, but
Mm-hmm.
letting them actually explore outside is a lot better.
Yep.
Higo says, I've seen another group who do these types of stings on YouTube. They can get wild, like spouses called and showing up. Yeah.
Yep. We were just about to get
Oh,
into
yes.
certain situations and some certain stories that were posted of exactly that, Hugo. Right. So I know I shared with you ladies. So there was one an Italian guy that they were following him, not following him, but like talking to the decoys talking to him for a while. And they caught him at the bank. He lived probably like a block away. And the guy always tells them like, we can have a discussion or I can call the cops right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they always, lean towards the discussion because then
Obviously.
they think like, oh, they won't call the cops if I talk to them, right? And the guy admitted to wanting as young as a 6-year-old. The girl he
Yeah, I
was
remember
talking to
seeing
was
that one when you
14
sent
years
it.
old. And he tried to ask the girl because he thought it was real. The 14-year-old, oh, you have a sister or any friends of yours? She's like, oh, my sister's trying. She's 6, and then went into that kind of sexual conversation. And the guy told him like, you're like one of the worst cases we had because he had a very explicit text messages of fetishes that he wanted, and he said it online. He's on the live like, you were just telling her you wanted her to put a brush up her, you know what, and you were teaching her how to pleasure herself to show you, like text like that. Once they send photos of themselves, it's a felony, which he did,
That's
and
disgusting.
they made him call his wife.
They
And
made him
it's
call his
Yep, right then
wife.
and there.
it's those the ones that when they call the wife, like that one, we shared
Then
in
we'll
the
get
group
into the next. Yeah,
that
because I think yes, your wife should know what the fuck you're doing out trying to meet little kids. And on top of that,
and they
what
have
he disclosed was because he had actual child porn in his phone, not decoy stuff, actual child porn. And he said that he goes onto the what do you call it on the internet? The dark internet, or is it called
Dark
black internet? What is it?
dark
dark
web.
mode.
It's dark web.
Yes,
Dark web.
where there's a group of guys that share child porn with each other.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get out of getting arrested. He says, "Oh, I'll give up the names." Yeah, there you go. Thank you, dark web. I'll give up the names to you about who does send me these things.
Unreal.
There's a whole
That's
world out
disgusting.
there, bro.
Yeah. There's people trying to, I think we had just mentioned, normalize you
Mm-hmm.
being attracted to
That's crazy to
children.
me.
Like it's the same as being homosexual or gay.
Hell
Like
no.
it's not the same in any way. These are kids who don't know any better, who don't even understand what's going on, and then they're grooming them from. This shit makes me angry. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
It does. It does. And I'm
Because
here kind of like I
some
knew this
people
was
try to
gonna be
validate it, like,
triggering.
oh, if they were molested, that's probably why they do it. That's not an excuse. Just because
No,
it
it's
Now,
happened
not.
to you doesn't mean that you continue that behavior.
Right. It's
No,
not
nah,
okay.
because as somebody who was molested as a child,
same.
I'm a
Yeah,
fucking hover over my kids. There's no fucking way I would
exactly.
allow any harm for my children. And at the slightest minute that I know anything is off on something like that, uh,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
another side of me, that dark side of me would come out, and I don't care who it is
Yep.
because this is my children.
Right.
That's why
So
growing
that's
up,
not an
yeah,
excuse.
we weren't allowed to sit on nobody's lap. not
Yeah.
not be going any room with anyone, doesn't
Yeah.
matter, family or
I've
friends.
literally told my kids, like, you don't even have to hug somebody. If
Yep.
you do
Right.
not like that person, if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't want to do it, you don't
Yep.
have to.
Yep.
Exactly.
My mom was not. We wasn't hugging. We wasn't sitting. We wouldn't wear short shorts. We didn't.
Hmm.
There was never a dress without shorts under. There was no tight clothes. None of that. None of that.
Yep.
It's because you just never know.
You
Hmm.
don't.
You just never know,
Like I said earlier, diablo, diablo, the devil is the devil.
which is the sick
Everything
part.
is
Sick.
there.
Some of these
And
stories, bro.
it's scary because how do you protect your children from these people? How do you? And then they literally make arrangements to meet these children, these
Yep.
teenagers, these kids. How
Because
do you?
they know how to talk to children, right? And let's say you have a younger child and children are innocent. They're gonna answer your questions honestly, like, "Oh, are your parents home? Oh, really? Where do you live at?"
Right.
Or, and then continue that conversation and children are giving up information because majority of the time they don't know better.
Mm-mm.
So then what
Nah.
happens? They show up at your house. Now they could be stalking you, learn your pattern, your schedule.
And you know
Then
what? Here's another thing. Maybe could correlate. I don't know. But even me, as a grown ass woman, my post, when y'all see me share, like me and my kids trip, like on to Disney or a restaurant, wherever it's at, I'm not posting it that same day. I'll post
that's
shit
smart.
like, and y'all know this. I post this shit like 2-3 weeks later.
That's smart.
One, not everybody needs to know. Two, y'all don't need to know when I'm there. And three, I don't know who's watching this.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Time to
Time
teach
to
my
teach my
kids
kids
that
that the home address is a PO box.
Facts though.
is
Right.
Facts.
911. What's your number? 911.
Right.
Because
Right.
they're so innocent, right? They're thinking like, "Oh, they're just having a conversation," not really understanding what this adult is doing and grooming
Their
them into
intentions.
meeting
Right.
them.
Right.
And who
I
knows
think
what they're
back
gonna do to them.
to when I was 14, 15. I mean, sure, I knew of what it was, but I'm not really thinking of that, right?
Mhm.
10, 11, 12 years old, I'm not thinking about this sexual stuff, even when things could be misconstrued inappropriately by an adult because you know it. A
Mhm.
kid doesn't realize that,
No.
right? And it's like that there's a level of ignorance there, at least for me anyway, when I was much younger. Like I was still very much into dolls up
Innocence.
until I was like 13, and I didn't you know it's crazy to think. And even, I understand that in today's world the influences are different. Social media, internet, things are much different from how
Mm-hmm.
when I grew up. But it there's got to be a balance of parents parenting and still giving them a little bit of leeway and educating them on what's right and wrong, right? And that's it's crazy. It's
And,
sad that we
and
have to take an
it's
extra step that way.
it's
I'm
sad
so
to
glad that
say, unfortunately, sometimes even as the parent, you might have to have these difficult discussions with your
Yeah.
kids.
absolutely.
And honestly, I'm not even saying, oh, you gotta wait till they're maybe like a certain age to where they can
Nope.
understand. No, dumb yourself down. Think about where you were at their age, how your thought process was at that age, and
Hmm.
how can I explain my child at 6, 8, 9, 10, whatever years of age, to make them understand that mommy and daddy's not like coming from like a mad place. Like we're just trying to teach you, like, hey,
Right.
this is right, this is wrong. If this is something that anybody, it does not matter at this point, siblings, family, out friends,
Family is the worst.
anybody,
You don't even know. That's
this is how you differentiate.
hmm
And you have to be able to trust mommy and daddy because we
Yep.
need to protect you. You know what I mean? But like, these are difficult discussions to have,
yeah.
but
But
it's
I
the
think
real
what
world.
also has to be incorporated in that conversation, which probably would be uncomfortable, is informing them that at any point, like let's say the mom having the conversation with the child, of if at any point you felt uncomfortable with, let's just say your dad,
Yeah.
please tell
Oh
me
my
right
God.
away.
Yeah.
That's scary because The
Mhm.
person that you trust, you married, you have children with, n- is a sick fucking.
Which I'm sure with a lot of these people don't have no clue that
And
they end up being that.
now, what I'm noticing
That's the
now
sad
more, that
part.
I never even, it never dawned on me, and I'm sure this is something that should be spoken about, is women are also pedophiles.
Bro,
I was about to say that
And
too.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
it's sick. It's fucking sick. Like, you hear, like, I remember hearing the random stories in 2020 of a teacher with their student, right?
yeah.
But
Was they
but
got married? Y'all remember that?
yeah,
Yeah.
they had kids and everything. Like, I
I
mean,
think
it's
they're still
crazy.
together.
I don't know. I don't know. She went to jail
Which
and
is
everything,
wild
right?
to us.
But that's like a one-off thing at the time. Now you're like, this is actually happening in real fucking life.
Mhm.
It's more
Like, to think it,
common.
how is what mindset do you have that you think that this is okay to do with a child?
I don't know.
Just like so I just watched the story, right, with the lady right? And so the lady took her children to the meeting spot of where she thought she was meeting this 11-year-old
Took her
girl.
own children?
Her
Her
own
own
children.
children
They
were in
were
the
in
car.
the car. They were in the car. Yep. And the guy, of course, doing this thing, his organization,
She's
um,
going to meet an 11-year-old
an
girl?
11-year-old. Mhm.
Girl. I don't understand
Girl.
why.
Her
Okay.
kids sounded maybe no older than maybe
They
5.
sounded like babies in that car. Yeah. So he made her call her husband to find out that they were having this conversation together with the 11-year-old girl
He
they
was on
thought
board with it.
that he was on board. Um, he kept them there. The husband was like an hour away. So he's like, "Yeah, we'll wait here for you, whatever, whatever." The woman, she's young, probably late 20s, if that. Um, was trying to say like, "Oh, I was talking to her and she was explaining how, you know, she only has one parent in the house and some parent died and she's alone most of her time, and she's like, we were talking to her like, to protect her from other people, to show her like she can be safe, and this is a spot for her, and give her clothing and whatever she needed, and if she needs to shower." So that's when the guy doing this thing brought up the text message conversation, and he said, "Yeah, but you and your husband were talking about showering her. What do you mean by that?" And she's like, "Well, like, showing her because she's getting older how to properly take care of herself." And he's like, "Yeah, but so that means if she had to wash down there, you were gonna do it for her?" She says, "If that had to come to that, yes." Now she's just giving up all the information, right? Because
I'm
he hasn't
so
called the cops. He hasn't called the
confused
cops
on
yet. He's
why.
waiting for the husband, right?
It's
I don't think it's
Mm.
as one off as we think. When you think about things like cougar or MILF, it seems like it's getting normalized or swept away. I mean, cougar or MILF is a little bit different. With a cougar, you're doing with an adult still. Not, I mean, if you're
Even though
under 18,
you're young, but yeah, you're an adult.
you're younger, but you're still an adult. That's not the
Exactly.
same, right? As opposed to an actual predator with a child or a
Yeah.
teenager, and you're an adult. Like,
Yep.
it's just not
So
cool.
so check this out. Husband gets there. They're recording the whole time. Husband gets there. They're talking about the situation, and he's like, he asked him like, "So you are sexually attracted to younger kids?" And he's like, "No, it's not that. It's like it was like having someone in our household that we're able to take care of until she's older, and then it extending into a relationship." And
so
They
he's like,
wanted
"So
a
pretty
what
much
you're
grooming.
telling me is that you're grooming her to be in a sexual relationship with you?" And he's like, "I don't even see what's the big deal because when I was younger, I messed with my sister." And then the wife goes, "Yeah, when I was younger, I messed with my brother." Bro, I
that's
was
normal. It
flabbergasted.
happens.
Fla-
Those were words that came out of their mouths. It's normal. It happens. Things
yeah,
happen when you're kids.
cop showed up about 2 minutes later. Both arrested for all that stuff, plus child, because it's considered child abuse. You're bringing your child to meet a child for
That's child
sexual pleasure.
endangerment too.
Child endangerment. Yep.
So
Yep.
they're claiming that it was just so they could groom her
Mm-hmm.
and have her in their relationship.
Mm-hmm. And the
I
the
mean, if it
guy,
comes to
Fuck.
that, then
yeah,
yeah,
that's what exactly
that
what
was
if it
literally
comes
their
to that,
answer.
yeah. And so the guy told the cop, "Hey, I just have them camera,
Recorded your
agreeing to that. This is exactly what they're looking for." Mhm. I had no
Wow.
words after I watched that.
yeah, me too.
I couldn't even. I
There
was
was so
literally
much
sick
going
to
on
my
in that
stomach.
video.
I'm like, you brought your children to meet a child that you're looking at in a sexual manner as a couple. What the fuck?
That just makes me sick to my stomach. That's disgusting.
You know, there's a saying in Spanish that says like "cara vemos, corazones no sabemos," which is you can see a face, but you don't know what's within that heart.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
That is just so true.
Because let's say if it was a real 11-year-old girl, right? And she's online because she doesn't have nobody else home. One of her parents just died. She's in that space, right? And you are
Alone.
using that as a tool to reel her in.
Yeah.
Right.
And then as a mom yourself, that's fucking sick.
Yeah.
That's where I did not understand that.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much going on in that video.
I mean, women
I don't
predators and
get it.
underage victims. Yeah.
Oh,
It's becoming more out there than I ever realized.
Yeah.
And that's something that it because I'm not gonna just say it's men. Men is definitely I think the majority, but women are
now it's
just as
more women.
bad.
Yeah, it's more women. It's really insane to me. And you know what's crazy is like because I work with children for, a really long time, over 10 years. So I'm always, and it's sad to say this, but you always are like on your P's and Q's when you know the signs, right? You know what to look for. If you see something
Yeah.
odd or any weird bruise, or you're automatically like, how'd you get this? What happened? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Hugo makes a good
Honestly,
point. He says, I wonder if that couple would have been okay with doing that to their own kids.
that's a great question. And they
Right.
always
honestly,
ask this question in the stings.
They
And
asked
they
that?
always, yeah, and they're always like, "Oh no, I would not be happy with that." But you're okay doing it to someone else's kid, and there's
Unreal.
no response.
Unreal. So they know they're doing something wrong,
Yeah,
yeah.
right? So it's
yeah,
not
Just
like
as long as it's not my kid,
yeah.
it's okay.
So the guy that shared the child porn, right, on the dark web was like, I know I have a problem. I need to get therapy. I'm gonna get therapy. I'll get the help I need. Like trying to get out of being arrested. And he's like, it's just fantasies. I've never actually did it.
And I love when they say,
Fantasies.
"I'll
Wow.
never do it again. I
Yeah.
promise."
Yeah. Sure, buddy.
no, lock them all up. Lock them all
Mm-hmm.
up and throw away the fucking key. Fucking disgusting
That
assholes.
part.
And that's why I wanted to bring it up because I feel like it needs to be talked about more because we have to. I don't, not that I have children of my own, right? But I do have children in my household. And it's like you have to be more on top of everything. Everything. Because you
Yeah.
just never know. Especially now that the world is based off technology. Everything.
Yeah.
When they have access to the internet, if your kids have phones, access to the internet, unless you're blocking it, right? Because I know one of my friends, um, she has an app that for watches where she can just have them text her through the watch and nobody else. Can't get on the internet, can't do nothing. You don't need that. You can either call me or text me. That's it.
Okay.
So they don't have that access to
The
the
actual
internet,
internet.
the social media apps, because plenty of children have social media. Plenty of children are on TikTok,
Yeah.
which a lot of stuff on TikTok that shows are not appropriate for children.
No, you're not.
And all these games and social media apps all have a message section. So
Yeah, I
if a
don't
kid is
even
on
use
any
it.
kind of app or a game and you send them a message, you think they're not going to be curious?
Hmm.
Hmm. Who's this friend?
Mm-hmm. So when I heard about the Roblox thing, and I'm like, what, bro? Which is a kid's game.
I don't know if it's like they're purposely wanting to like expose it more so like people can kind of look at it and be like, oh well, I guess, you know, I understand, you know, it's a certain group of people that feels a certain type. No,
No.
no, no.
So I just pulled up a site that's 5 ways parents can deter pet predators.
Hmm.
Show that you're a loving and attentive parent, being interested in your child's life, activities, parents, teachers, who they speak to, involving them in plans, always being around for their events, being present, basically, and always show that you're there.
Right.
Okay.
I can see that. Yes.
Be a parent that trusts their gut and isn't afraid to say what needs to be said.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It says here their safety is your responsibility. End of story. So we shouldn't be embarrassed or afraid of offending other people when it's done correctly. So you want, if for child care providers, you want to get verification, licenses, who works at daycares, if they've done background checks, asking the right questions.
Hmm.
If you're going to have a babysitter nanny, there should be certain things that you need to look for. Um, if your gut is telling you no, do not put your child in that situation
Yeah.
where it's a sleepover, a retreat, someone you don't know. What it when it comes to keeping your child safe, it doesn't matter what other people think.
Oh, my kids don't do
Absolutely.
sleepovers.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to do
Right.
No,
sleepovers.
I mean,
my
I
kids
didn't
do
do any
not do
sleepovers
They
as a
were
sleepovers.
kid.
they were allowed to come to my house. I wasn't going anywhere.
Exactly. They can definitely have
Um,
friends over. More than welcome to. It's a loving, caring place.
Yep.
yeah.
But other than that, no.
Yep.
Respect
And
and
I
listen
understand
to.
respectfully if you don't want
Okay,
your child to
sorry.
come to my house too, so it's okay.
Right, right. Respect and listen to our child. So just have instincts. Our children, just as we have instincts, our children has them too. So they also have the right to have concerns and be heard. Parents need to learn to listen to their children and respect some of their opinions and feelings. And this will show potential predators that you're not an ideal target. Like if they say, I don't want to go to Uncle Danny's house, he's weird. Don't say, oh, but he's your uncle, he's family. You have to
Yeah.
be nice to him.
Exactly. Exactly.
A better reaction is,
Nope.
what is it about Uncle Danny that you think is weird?
Yep.
Let them speak. Um, be the person that be the person that's not afraid to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine there is possible predator in your community. You're in their presence and just happen to mention something you've learned about child sexual abuse and how you've spent time to educate yourself to protect your family. Do you think this person would want to target you and your family? So, I guess being more comfortable to
Talking
discuss
about it.
things around
Yeah.
people so that normalize protecting culture and empowering your children.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And the last one is be the first line of defense. While predators and pedophiles sexually are attracted to pubescent children, for many predators, it's not about sexual attraction. They chose children because they are easy to target and control. Most abusers are not pedophiles but choose to sexually abuse children due to their own personal issues.
It's a lot of issues.
Yeah, yeah. But educating our adults and other children, it's just making sure that those types of things are looked for.
Hmm.
Being aware of red flag behavior is associated with potential grooming behavior and symptoms of abuse as well.
Mm-hmm.
Those are
Yeah.
good tips there. It's true.
It.
And
Oh, sorry.
working with children, right? With the young ones, you have to teach them early,
Hmm.
as little as 2 years old.
Yeah.
The needs, and like Eva's mentioned, is just like talking in their language, how they can receive it and
Understand.
understand it, right? So
Right,
you have to teach them early. No one touched you here, no one touches you there.
right. These are your privates. This no
Like
one touches
even
it.
as a mom, here's the rag.
Yep.
And I would literally stand in front of them. I'm like, this is how you're going to wash yourself. Like, you have to scrub yourself like this so you can clean all the dirt and make sure that it's not smelly and stinky, okay? But
Yep.
they would wash themselves because I want them to understand that only I can touch myself right here. This is for me to clean, for me to
Hmm.
touch, not for my mom or somebody else to, help me because I can do it myself.
Yeah, it's different when they're babies
Do you
and
know what I
when they're
mean?
first,
Yeah, when they're babies,
learning.
it's different. But I'm
But once
talking about a
they're
kid at 2 years old, like you said. Here's your little rag. Like, this is what you clean. Okay, scrub your toes, scrub your knees,
Yep,
scrub. And
you're
I'm like
showing it, yeah,
guiding
because
through
they
their
replicate really
You have to
quickly.
teach them. Yep.
But I don't.
So check this out, right? Now that you brought up about like, making sure you're teaching them to untouch themselves and giving them that safe space, right?
Mhm.
So I seen there's a girl on TikTok that she recently shared her story. It's been a couple of years now since it happened, but she recently shared her story that her and her brother went into her parents' closet and her dad had like a safety box, and they got curious because it was open. So they were like, "Oh, what's in here?" Right? They go in there. Remember the old cassettes, those video cassettes that you would put in the camera
VHS.
or like the VCR
Yeah.
thing to play it? Yeah.
The VHS.
There you go. So they were like, "What are on these?" Right? So they took a bunch and they were like, "Oh, mom, look what we found in the closet." And she was like, "Oh, really? What are these? Let's put them in." Bro, put them in the thing, right, to turn on.
Oh my God.
And it was recordings that the dad recorded of him touching his daughter. And she's watching the video. No recollection, because usually when abuse happens to you as a young kid and then you
You
get older,
block
your
it out.
mind blocks it out and you don't remember.
You suppress it.
And she's just watching this and the mom starts flipping the fuck out, flipping out. This is a real story. Flipping out. And the brother takes the sister out of that room. The mom played a couple more to get more evidence and see what
Oh
else
my God.
occurred, which was probably, I can't even imagine her being in their spot.
Mm.
The brother takes the sister in front of the room and he tells her he's never gonna ever touch you again in your life. And they call the cops, and then it turned into a big case, and they were trying to find the age of those videos because they were so old. Because now she was much older. And she said it. She said, "I don't have the memory, but what I do remember is that I never wanted to do things with my dad. I
Yeah.
never wanted to be with my dad in a restaurant sitting next to him. I never wanted to do activities by myself with him. And I thought that there was just something wrong with me." Until she realized this is why. She just didn't
And you know
remember
what?
the exact reasons.
One thing too, and it's kind of like what you were talking about too, Val, as listening to your kids. Because before my kids started school, I wanted to give them kind of like that experience of like they're gonna be with other kids, or there's gonna be a teacher, there's gonna be like, so I put them into daycare. And my daughter, she loved it. She was like holding the teacher's hand the whole time. She was like, my son, he was like super happy with his class until one day he wasn't, and he was like not wanting to be put down. Now me and dad were like, oh, maybe he's just like not having it today. So we were like, okay, let me just walk out or whatever. So we walked out. My kid, and Tasha, you worked in with daycare, so they have like locked doors and then like certain doors before you get to the last entrance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My son booked it. By the time we were getting into the truck or getting close to our car, my son was like out that building. And I just grabbed both my kids and I was like, we tried it. Just wasn't for them. We're not pushing it.
Yeah.
This is not
that's
going
an
to happen. And we never went back.
reaction.
Another article says here abusers are rarely strangers. They're not always men. They can be family, women, and other children.
That
I would see too, because you have to understand too, this kid is also probably being molested.
Mm-hmm. So they
because
can think
it's
that
being done
that
to
behavior
them,
is okay.
they're thinking this is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I could definitely
Doesn't
see
make
that.
it right, but it happens.
Right.
Parents just need to parent a little bit more.
You got to
Some
be
people
more on top of
shouldn't
it.
be parents.
And then there's
That part.
because like this particular couple that
Bro,
like
how
how
they
do
have
you take your
kids?
kids?
I don't know.
How do you
That shit
take
is
your
wild to me, bro.
kids to meet like I just don't understand like what in their brain makes it think like, oh, this is okay.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing is okay. I'm doing a good service.
My first thought is like, do you look at your kids that way then? Like, that's my first thought when I watched that video. Because it don't make sense to
I
me.
saw there was a video where a woman was filming. She said she found cameras of her husband, who was her kid's stepfather.
Mhm.
She found secret cameras in her daughter's bathroom
What?
and
Mm-mm.
bedroom.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
You see?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Having a panic attack and recording the entire thing, and her pulling out the cameras while she was on live
Bro.
of her husband, who was their children's stepfather. I just pull up a
So
stat. I just read a stat real quick. Abuse by other children. So this, one of biggest reality checking curveball regarding sexual abuse. Who would think that nearly 40% of abusers were older or more physically, mentally advanced children? Generally, at an age difference of only 3 years or more, is enough for the older child to be aware of what he or she is doing. A larger child can overpower a smaller child, a more knowledgeable child that exploits a naive and less knowledgeable child. 7 out of 8 juvenile offenders who are at least 12 years old, and 93% of them are boys.
Jesus. 93%.
Yep.
Damn.
7 out of 8 juvenile offenders who are at least 12 years old, and that's for sexual abuse.
that's wild.
And they will probably abuse themselves.
Right.
Or they're
Right.
not taught on how to control or what those urges are, what it is that they see or may have experienced, or what they may have come across online, and you're not teaching your children correctly or having those conversations. That's another thing.
Mhm.
School's not supposed to teach your child everything.
Right.
Exactly. You have to, because it's confusing once you start feeling those feelings.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, what
Like
is
why
this?
does it feel
Like,
like
why
that?
exactly?
Yeah.
And you have to
Is it
have that.
supposed to feel okay? You
Yep.
know? And
Have to have that
Right.
communication of who is it appropriate with,
that part.
not being
Mhm.
afraid to talk about that masturbation is okay
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
because this is normal, right? You're going through your stages, you're going through puberty, your hormones are going to be crazy, and explaining of what is not okay. You don't touch your siblings or family. You don't touch other little kids. You know what I mean? Going down that line. So it's just like Val said, yeah, you have to have that conversation. Like
Yeah.
none of
Yep.
this should be uncomfortable.
No.
This should be an
I mean,
open
it
space with you and
probably
your
is
child.
uncomfortable in a sense because you're like, how do I break this down?
Yeah.
You know? And more often or not, maybe like myself, right? Because I went through it, like maybe my own trauma is like
Probably
wanting
makes it. Yeah.
to make it be known for my kids so that they
Yeah.
don't go through it.
Mhm.
So that's the uncomfortable part because it's like I felt maybe at the same time like I'm opening their eyes to something that they probably shouldn't even be open to because
This is another
it's a
interesting
kid's
statistic.
life,
Right.
Mhm.
you know, but
These children,
you
only
have to.
5% of them actually reoffend. Most of them get taught how to do things correctly, and it isn't common for them to do an offense, another sexual offense
So
again.
imagine if they were taught from the jump
Right.
or had that safe space if something did happen to open up about it right away.
Hmm.
That's crazy, bro. I think there's two more comments, Val.
Oh, That Roblox thing is freaking me out. My kids and their friends are all over that.
Yo, it's serious. It's serious. And this is one of the
You could
reasons
probably
why.
And
be
also
in their
telling
group.
kids that it's not okay for anyone to tell them, don't tell your parents. Right.
Yep,
That
that
already is
part.
a red flag.
And
That
that's
part.
why I feel communication with
I
your
wonder if
kids
that.
should be
Oh, okay.
established when they were little. Like, oh, like, tell mommy this, tell mommy that. Like, be able to have them turn around and be like, Mom, guess what?
Yeah.
Like, ahorita, I don't miss any of the achievements from sophomore and junior year. I'm like, every day they're like, Mom, guess what? I'm like, what?
That's
Spill
how
the
it should
tea.
be. Yep.
But it's one of those things that's something that we've been working on for years. So it's like, yeah, it's not maybe sometimes things I want to hear, but I'm thankful that you're okay and can't wait to get home and tell me what happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
I'm at least happy for that, because that communication should definitely be there for your kids, where they can
Right.
It
say,
has to
my
be.
parent or my mom or my dad is my safe space. That I can tell my parents this. And if something was off, I could tell my mom or my dad, like, hey, so and so kind of said this. Like, is that normal? Is
Mm-hmm.
that okay? Like, I find it kind of weird. But
Right.
for them to be able to express that to you, that should be definitely a thing that should be worked on since
Yeah,
they're
and I
little.
think parents should really take it seriously when their kids bring up how they don't want to go to somebody's house or
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to spend time with so and so and not push it
Not force them, exactly.
Yep.
because then
Yep.
they're going to start to have resentment towards you.
And then they can't tell you something.
And that I know it all too well,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yep.
that shit stays with you. Because you
Mhm.
look back, me as a parent, like now I look at my kids and I'm like, I could never. I respect my kids enough to accept what they do like and what they don't like.
Right.
Yeah,
They
cuz
have to be comfortable in their own life. So if that's something that they don't like, I'm not going to push it. Like, I'm not going to force my kid to, as Latinos, one of the biggest things is like, oh, hi, hug and kiss and type of thing, right? But if my
Mm-hmm.
kid's not wanting to do that, don't look at my kid sideways because they're not wanting to hug you.
or be like, "Oh my god, they're so rude. Teach your kid
Yes,
better." Like, "What?
girl.
What?"
My kid don't want to hug you. Probably stank. I don't care. Like,
Please
you
think.
ain't getting a hug from my kid. You're not. My kids know very damn well if you do not want to do something, you don't have to do it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's always a
I've
reason behind
always
everything.
been like, I never liked the whole because when guys, oh, they'll go and hug you or they'll give you the side cheek a kiss, and I'm like, no, what's up? I'll give you that pound. I don't you don't gotta. This is my space. It's my space, and
Right.
that's something that I was instilled with from when I was very young, and I still do to this day.
Yeah.
I don't trust none of y'all.
Right.
Which is a good way to be.
Yeah.
It's a good way to be. And a lot of more people need to be that way. So definitely be more on top of what your kids are doing when they're gaming. A lot of these games have conversation things too that
I
people
would
can
say
communicate,
just
especially playing
even
online.
if they game, yeah. So if they game, be part of it. Play
Yep.
with them.
Because
Join their team.
these
Join their
right, because
group.
I
Play
see
with
little kids
them.
play on the PS5 online, right? There's all different people from all over the world playing and they're talking or writing in the chat as the games are going. You need to hear what's being said. You have to know what's being texted in the chat, especially
Yeah.
if that they're at an age that they can read. Because who knows what they're saying? There's adults on here,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and I'm sure plenty of pedophiles on there too.
Yeah. See, before a certain age for me, no, I don't really play co-op games that you play online. I like the single player games, the fantasy adventure games would I play,
Mhm.
and those I don't associate with other people. They're me or someone who's sitting with me in a two-player game, not like I don't play online with other people I don't know. And
Mhm.
that's just because of I grew up in the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, that we didn't there was no online gaming, right?
Yes. And you're
Um
like,
a lot of guys, they like the Call of Duties, the Destinies, and you can do the online gaming. It builds and they create friends like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain children shouldn't be doing it before a certain age.
No.
That's my biggest thing. And there are certain games that I don't think need that feature. Like
Exactly.
a Roblox or something like that. Like how
Yeah.
who's moderating, who's watching this, who's actually, and even other children to other children are also not outside of the sexual aspect, but demeaning,
Bullying.
bullying.
Yep.
Bullying.
There's a lot of things going on like that too. And if you can't be, I'd rather my kid not deal with any of those
Hmm.
types of games until they're mentally prepared to do that. And then
I agree.
that's not something that I would want for them. So they're gonna sit here and play the corny little single player games that I enjoy until you're old enough to handle something outside of that.
Hey, I've sat
I
there
agree with
until
that.
like maybe 3 in the morning trying to catch the damn Princess Peach. Well, we finally did it. You know what I mean? But it's one of those
Yeah.
things that, yeah, I'm involved, but I'm also experiencing it with my child. Like, I'm also letting him know I'm here. We can
Mhm.
relate. We can talk about it. We can, have fun
Yeah.
together with this. But
I think when
yeah,
the parent is involved, the kid's not gonna want that attention from anyone else. They'll play
yeah,
with them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The
that too.
problem is, but in today's world, unfortunately, the young people are having children who aren't really equipped to raise them the way they should be, and rely on iPad to raise that kid, YouTube to raise that kid, video games to distract that kid while you off doing whatever the hell you want to do
Your
as an
TikTok.
yeah.
Your
Right.
Like,
I don't know.
yeah.
Some people just shouldn't be having kids.
no, I agree on that
That
too.
part.
Because I've seen it a lot to where, like, even at like just grocery stores, right? Like, you doing your own thing and you see like maybe like a mom with kids or whatever, and the kids are all like this.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in the cart probably, but they're all like this. Like,
Yeah, because they're not bothering you.
I was the dumbass, like, hold on, let me find something. Jesus, I can't find anything over here. I'd be like at the fruit section, banana. Was this? Do we know how to spell it? Banana. Like,
That's how it should be, though. Having them walk with you, paying attention to what's in the aisles.
Be aware of your
Yep.
surroundings at all time. Please teach your kids this.
Yep.
Please, like,
Make everything a teaching moment. That's how it should be.
yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah. Kind of
Especially
sidetracking on
in
like
those
my
early
personal
years.
experience. Mm-hmm. Because
Yep.
that's the thing, and again, being aware of your surroundings at all time, not just in danger for anybody, but like, let's say in any situation, I would say, because I went through like a situation where like my kids were always literally on the lookout, like they're always like, I'm not happy because they had to go through that, but I'm glad that like even us talking about it now, like they'd be like, yeah, like we were always looking out, making sure wasn't there or whatever, blah blah blah, or they weren't following us or whatnot.
Mhm.
But maybe it did traumatize them, but I'm glad that they know, like, even
They have that
now, like,
instinct
I
in them.
have to be aware of my surroundings.
Yeah, because look at all the stories, right? You're walking to your car or in the grocery store, somebody comes in and grabs your kid and out the door.
Yeah.
And they're
I'm telling
screaming, they
you,
call the cops.
that would put
Look,
me in jail, bro. That
look.
that would put me in fucking jail.
So I know it may be questionable. It may be look kind of funky in a sense. I never put I feel like I can say I didn't put my kids on leashes. But hear me
did you
out.
have the backpack
Listen,
things?
because they had backpacks.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So it's like not like a leash.
It was a leash.
Yeah, it was a
But it was a backpack. And
It
they
was a
could put little
leash.
stuff in their backpack.
I was never a fan of
I
the
was
leash
just
shit.
attached to it.
Right. It was a leash.
You think
Because
it's a leash?
Absolutely. It's a leash. It's a tether from you to the child. It's a
well,
leash.
I
The
leashed
same
my
thing.
kids, damn it. I leashed my kids then. because I
Um,
always felt like
some kids
I
needed
didn't.
it though,
Yeah,
especially
like
those
I didn't want
wandering
them to.
kids.
First of all, always feel like mommy can carry you because y'all see my kids. Mommy's kind of small compared to the kids,
Right.
but I also wanted them to be able to just kind of walk around and do things, but only to a certain extremity.
Mm-hmm.
So I leashed my kids.
Okay.
I mean, I
If
don't
that
see like
works for you,
it's
that works for
terrible,
you. I
but
mean, I'm not one who leashes the kids, but it's okay.
But you never know if somebody wants to come and just snatch your kid.
No, my kid was attached to me by hand. Like I always had him in my hand, always. Uh,
Yes, but the thing is, like, let's say you're like, oh look at that. You let go and boom. What if they're following
right.
you? What if they're like looking and they're just like
I'm
you
not
never know.
saying those things happen, don't happen. It just never happened to me. You know what I mean?
The leash saved the
The leash, I didn't need a leash. I understand. It's okay. The leash works for a lot of people. Some people need that leash, especially from badass kids who don't listen and want to be all over the place and throw themselves everywhere. Those are the kids that need a couple whippings and they don't get them enough, you know?
right.
But, a leash helps sometimes. I wasn't a big fan of them, though.
I think Hugo has a question for Eva.
Oh wait, what?
Let me see. Just curious, Eva, if being a single mom, you were more aware or worried about things if being a
Yes.
single mom made you more aware of things like that.
Yes. And then maybe kind of just based off the situation itself of how I became a single mom. you know, um, that definitely put more of, I guess, tension on me to always be like, I made sure, like, I when I dropped off my kids, I was there. I wasn't just like the side, street mom,
Yeah.
like, hey, I jump off the car, bye, see y'all later when I pick you
Yeah.
up. Like, no, I literally would get there early enough to find a parking spot. I'd walk my kids, whichever one went in first, like we would go there, and then we would go to the other one, and then I was there waiting until my kids would go into class.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, I was the mom who volunteered for the PTA. I'm the one who volunteered, parent classing. Like I was there. I
That's
was
dope.
trying to make sure my kids knew, like, mom's here. It's okay.
Right.
You know, um, I was gonna go somewhere else with that. I forgot.
No, that's dope. You
Squirrel.
want to be present. It's
Yeah,
if
so
you're
you
able
want to
to
be
do so,
present.
then yeah.
And then picking up my kids again, getting there early enough to where I can be at the door, observing everything. Like when my kid comes out, my kid sees mom. Okay, mom is there. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to do that with my kids. Even sometimes at lunch, I would grab lunch and go eat it with them.
They will let you
But,
do that?
girl, I was so involved
Oh
when they were
wow.
little. I was
Well,
involved.
back then it was a little bit different. Now they're very, very strict on who they even let in
Maybe,
school.
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
Makes sense. My mom
It's
sat in my brother's classes. Never mind though, but she sat in their classes. Be
nah.
like, "Oh,
I
you want to act up?
remember
Okay, I'm going to school
a
today."
lot changed after
Sitting in the
9/11,
back.
where they don't really, the security is very different. They don't even let you pass the doors sometimes. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. You have to
Yeah.
have specific passes. You have to go to the office. Like it's very different. Um, I know growing up, I remember if your parent came to school, it was usually because you was getting a whooping, something
Facts.
happening. Yeah, like, there
Yo
was
ass.
something happening. You ain't do what you did.
What?
The teacher
Yes.
had a separate room for y'all,
Yeah.
and you hear the crying.
Oh my God. A teacher literally had a little closet where she had the phone and she'd be like, call your parent
Stop.
and tell them what you did. And it's like, Daddy, I didn't do my homework. Like, it was like that. But yeah, like, and you know what? And because obviously school just started, like we said too, right? My daughter, actually, one of the biggest things my daughter asked me, she was like, Mom, she's like, if you were to do your sophomore year or think about your sophomore year, what advice would you give me on what to do and what not to do?
That's a good question.
And I loved it. Oh, we had the best conversation ever. But it was one of those things too where, like, I even explained to them, like, sometimes because they already talked about their, teachers, and I'm like, look, even the most difficult teachers,
Mm.
like, you would probably thank them later. because that same
Facts.
teacher that I'm talking about, whoo, I know it's bad to say and it's a harsh word, but I hated her at the time. Oh Lord, she was. She gave us Saturday school, y'all.
Damn, I had to
Like
do
just
Saturday
our
school.
class
Damn.
for 4 hours on Saturday for the
She was
school
trying to get
year.
that overtime. It's great.
Right,
I'm more power
hey,
to
now as
her.
an adult, I get it, but
He was his kid's school. If you want to volunteer or go on campus, you need to be safe environment cleared. Okay.
perfect,
That's good.
perfect.
That's a
Because
good
again,
thing.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
predators.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's good. I'm glad that they are able to maybe have to put you through all these loops and hoops for you to even get there.
Yeah.
It should be important, especially, that you have a lot of kids in there.
Yeah.
To go over the last story that we watched, well, I watched, I think Eva watched it too. Is that they had a decoy that actually met up with a guy in the park. A decoy that can pass for a younger looking girl. And they were all standing by. He came to the location, sat with her on the bench. It's in a park at night. He goes to touch her leg. That's when they walk up and approach him and let him know.
Think about fixing her hair. She
Mhm.
ready?
Let him know, because exactly touching her leg, knowing her age is wild to me. Approached him, sat him down, surrounded him, let him know, like, oh, they weren't cops, but they are an organization that catches predators. And asked about his life. He has a 14-year-old and also I think it was like a 12-year-old son. 14-year-old was the girl. And he was begging not to call his wife. Begging them. And they were like, "No, you need to call your wife right now, or we're calling the cops right now." Called her. They explained the situation, and she's like, "Is this a prank? Like, tell me this is a prank." And they were like, "Nope. Your husband shared photos and met up in the park with the girl and all this stuff, and lost her shit. Literally lost her shit on the phone, starting to threaten to unalive herself.
Hugo's seen it.
Yeah.
I
And so
cried.
they made multiple calls to the cops because they were concerned.
With the Russian dude.
Yes, the Russian dude.
Mhm.
Yes. They were
Mhm.
concerned she was really going to hurt herself. And she put her kids in the car to go there. And telling her kids in the car that your father is meeting up with a little girl.
Nah. See,
And they
that
were
I don't
telling her,
agree
like,
with.
relax, calm down, like,
I don't think
they
it's
don't
fair to
need
traumatize
to.
the children
Yeah,
with
they
that
were trying to tell her, like,
experience.
they don't need, to see that. And she's like, no, they're gonna realize and understand that there's sick people out here like that.
And that I agree with,
There,
because then even though as
Then I was
harsh
like,
and
there's
ugly
a
as that
oh
way to go
sounds,
about it. There's a
I
way
get
to
it,
go
Ralph.
about
yeah,
it.
But then let's say, what if? That, mind you, this is new to the wife.
yeah,
Mhm.
she couldn't
So
believe
what
it, girl.
if he had even done anything to her kids?
I
You know what I mean? So
understand
it's like,
that,
I
right?
get there's a way to
But
say it, but
I think she
she's
just wasn't in the right
reacting
mindset.
emotionally
Mhm.
as opposed to logically, because what if they wasn't? That's a big what if. And now you're
Mhm.
exposing your children to this trauma, right? There's a way to go about it.
Yeah,
Yes, you want to communicate this is what's going on. Yes, they need to know in some form to protect them and why certain things are
definitely.
changing after all of this, but not in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see her blinking out, bro. I don't even know how I would react. Like, she
Bro, I don't
she
know.
was
Bro,
screaming.
do
She
y'all
claimed,
understand? This is why, like,
What
I'm
video was this? Y'all sent this to
still,
me? Because
in a sense, single.
yeah,
What?
I
I
did.
gotta go look this up because I don't be checking nothing out apparently. What the fuck?
Yeah, I sent it in the chat. Um,
Um, and
I
honestly, kind of piggybacking to what like Hugo had asked too, like, it is another reason why I haven't had like a relationship like that too, where because I'm so scared of that.
yeah, because you never really know anybody.
I'm so scared of me myself, because of my own selfish wanting to be loved and wanting to have a relationship and wanting to have like some sort of family type of thing, maybe yes, I'm, blocking my blessing, but at the same time,
You're protecting your kids.
I'm protecting my kids, and I'd rather do that. So like once, like I said, my kids are grown and they're adults, I can now just
I
live
mean,
my
a few
life.
days ago, probably,
Val, you're missing all those chats because you're on the old school Nintendo and network. I'm not off network, I guess, but imagine I
No,
don't.
yeah. And she said you're never gonna see your kids ever again. And they had to get him arrested. So in Colorado, because the guy that I watch in Colorado, if
in
you
text
send
or
pictures,
in like Instagram.
I think we've had a couple in both.
it's a couple in both. Yeah.
Because definitely not in text.
If you text that you're
There
gonna
was a
meet up,
text one, not that couple days ago, I think.
yeah, probably the text one.
All right, well, I'm gonna
that one though with the wife.
Let me
I
see
don't
if
know
you
if
could
it's the
hear it.
same
Hold on.
one.
Let me see if you could hear them talking. When the wife agreed, it just left me so shocked. Like
like I
what?
see the female with the 11-year-old, right? I saw that, and then the other one was not that.
Tashi, the one that we're talking about, the one right now with the Russian guy, is that the same one that I'm talking about where like the wife was like crying and like so
Yeah, she was
heartbroken?
threatening to unalive herself.
Dude,
Yeah, that one.
that should hurt me.
She was threatening
in
to what?
so many
Unalive
levels.
herself. I gotta be careful how I say that on here.
Right.
Unalive?
Herself.
What? Oh, okay.
Because
Okay.
Yeah.
so
With the kids in the car.
Wow.
She was driving there.
Dude, it's one of those things, and it hurts in so many levels too. Like
crying.
Obviously,
Eva, how would you explain that cry? It was like a
dude,
like a
it was
wailing
heartbreaking.
cry.
I ended up crying watching the video.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why I didn't watch it, because I don't like watching shit
pain
like that. I
in
get
her
angry.
voice.
What did he write?
Like
Primal
for me,
cry.
Yeah, it was like
yeah. For me, being that hopeless romantic that everybody knows I am, like it's one of those punches in the guts. Like
yeah, it was like you felt it, man.
Yes,
you felt her life turn upside down right then and there.
Yeah, that's just the best way to say it. And it sucks because like now you can't really even have just like a normal marriage.
No, that's just
where
dead.
you fight about who took
trauma,
out the garbage, or like.
Because then you're thinking about who the fuck did I have been with this whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, and not just married for like 2 years. I'm talking about like, yeah, they have grown.
They were
kids
married
now.
for a long time.
Right, and you don't even know how long that's been going on.
Exactly.
And now you only know because he got caught.
Yep.
Ugh. Oh my God. You know what? I'm gonna be decrepit senior single.
We'll do it together. High five.
High five.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sad. It's sad.
So parents,
I can't even imagine.
Please randomly check your kids' devices, especially if they have cell phones. Because
not randomly, every fucking day.
Should be, yeah, because I have a friend that she does. She checks through their cell phones. She goes through the messages.
Are you kidding me? Every day, open
certain
up your backpack.
things are blocked.
What's in your backpack? Like, no.
Yep,
we're
going through their books. Because you just never know. You just never know.
Yeah.
Right.
So you really got to be on it. And I get it. Oh, you want a kid to have privacy, but what is privacy when you're under 18?
I pay your cell phone bill. That's mine. It belongs to me.
Privacy is for yourself. But under the house, there is no privacy. But like, there is none. Like, to the point where like your self privacy, I get that. But as far as like, oh, you can't go through my phone. No, we are, yeah.
That part. Even
Even
if
if you're
you're
old and decrepit, not that any of you ladies would ever be, you gotta worry about all these cat snatchers.
Aw, man.
Bruh.
Um,
Yo, it's
I just don't feel like like my kid could be like, "No, mom, like you can't go through my
yo,
phone. It's my
imagine the day,
privacy."
Eva.
I'd laugh in your face.
How would you react, Eva?
I'm
If it
smacking them with the fucking
I'd
phone.
laugh in the face. Like, what do you mean privacy?
No,
Spell
no,
it.
no. That phone
smelling?
belongs to me.
The
I
fuck?
guess then here's the thing. You're having a cell phone is a privilege.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one with a fucking internet access, you don't need that. I'm sorry. Nope.
You need to call and text me. That's about it.
That's what I like what my homegirl does. Is that they have the phone, but if at any point she feels like they're not being responsible, now they got that watch, only could text or call her or whoever else she adds on. That's it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I need to make sure you're good. That's
That's
good.
just
You don't
it.
need to do nothing else.
Right.
Like
That's it.
I feel like a lot of people look at that nowadays and be like, "Oh, so extreme." Like, no, that's
No,
just
definitely
really
What's
not.
the
what a
I didn't
watch?
fucking
even have a
phone
I
is
fucking
need to
cell
supposed to
start
phone.
gifting
be.
this out. What's the watch?
Yeah.
I need to know
Like
what that is.
what?
The watch that your friend has.
Oh, I'm actually gonna meet with her after here. I'll tell her
Okay.
to. I'll send you the
Send
link.
me.
I'll
Yeah,
send
yeah,
you
yeah.
the link. You about to give
Or
it to
we could probably
JJ?
even post it in
Is
the
it
video.
something like Gab?
I wish I knew what a Gab is to be like yes, but I don't. I'm not
About to
sure.
Google it. I'm about to Google it. Google's
Oh
my best
no.
friend.
I'll find out
Gab
for you though,
phone
and I'll
for
send y'all the
kids
link.
and teens.
What is it?
Hold on. It's
What
a
Hugo said, the Gab.
yeah, I'm looking it up. Less stress, less tech stress, no internet, no
Yep.
social no social media, no worries. Oh yeah, and it's a Gab watch,
Oh
a
yeah,
Gab
that must be it
phone,
then. I'll find out for sure, but that,
premium kids safe, stream hits. You can listen to music on it.
mm-hmm.
And it has cell phone coverage.
And text.
It's an accessory. Yeah, that's it. That's all you need to do.
That's all you need from the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this. No internet, no social media, no worries.
Yeah, they don't have to have no
The
access
best
to
kids
anything else.
safe phone. I like it a lot. No unsafe apps with active GPS tracking.
Yes, I forgot that part. That must be it
That's the
then.
best part.
Has a GPS.
No
Because
app stores, no
aside from
addictive
everything, you want to
games.
know where they're at.
I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Get the Gab phone, people.
Yep,
We're not sponsored. It's just saying it's a good one.
we
That's
should
what I'm
be
saying.
though.
Like maybe we can even add the link on
There's a
the.
few
There's the
different
ones
ones
out
out
there.
there.
There's
That's
one I've
one
seen
I've
on
seen
board.
on billboards most.
Do you have it for your
Bark is
kids?
another one.
Bark, I've heard of.
Hugo, you got that for your kids?
I think I'll take my kids to the vet and get them chipped too, just in case.
Hugo, you ain't lying.
You might have to, bro. Like
You ain't
that is
lying.
so funny.
Oh, it's actually the kids sync up watch.
Sync
Oh.
up.
Because the bark one I've heard of.
Sync up, yes. But that sounds exactly like how what it does.
So
So
there's
there's probably
different
the few of them, like they're
brands
saying.
for the same thing, which I'm glad.
And I think that's great. I think it's a
Yeah.
great thing.
T-Mobile Sync Up Kids Watch.
There you go.
Yep.
So parents out there, I think
Okay,
this is a
so
really
if it's
great thing
like
to get.
T-Mobile, okay, I get that.
Right? You still can
That's
have access to them,
it's fucking
Hmm.
genius.
but they don't have access to everything they don't need.
I
My
don't.
daughter
My daughter has
has
an
an
old
old
hand me
hand.
down that's parental locked, and son's been
Yeah.
wanting a phone. Good.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Like the point of kids having the phone with no access to shit like that, it's literally them just kind of looking at it like, what the fuck am I gonna do with this? Just
They
throw
gonna
it
be
down.
mad.
Yeah,
They gonna be
like
mad. But you know what it you know what the whole point of it
you'll thank me
is?
later.
Yep. It's that.
They'll be alright.
We
And
didn't
Need
even
something us
have
something.
parents
phones.
need
We
to do, which
survived.
Eva
You'll
and
be
all of you
fine.
have said, is that you need to be involved. Do not depend on technology
Facts.
alone. That's
Hmm.
the
You
biggest
have to.
point.
You gotta be present.
And And I think that's where a lot of parents fail.
Yeah.
It doesn't
And
matter, right? You work, you're tired. Okay, cool.
but, but
But
And we get
you
it,
put
but
that
that's
extra
actually what you
time
signed
in.
up for. Becoming a parent. You give
Exactly.
up
that's
What
your
that's
sleep?
time.
There's no more sleep.
These I was just gonna say these bags.
What sleep?
They have dates.
Right? Non-existent. You need to be present, right? You have to be. I'm not saying on them like white on rice, where you're stuck with them the whole entire day. But when
No.
they're doing their activities, if they are on any phones and internet access, what are you doing on your phone? Who are you talking to? Let me see the conversation.
I mean, there's a way to go
Going
about
through the
doing it,
browser, right? Like,
and you also want to build. The thing is, it shouldn't be something where you're trying to be invasive. It should be building something where they want to be able to share with you, where
yeah,
they're
Right.
comfortable
exactly,
enough and having that relationship with them.
exactly.
Not feel like they're being punished and then they start hiding things from you or
Yeah.
deleting stuff so you don't see it, because then you're looking for something that's you just don't see it,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's a way to go about doing it, and you and it starts from when they're very very young, building that relationship
Yeah.
correctly,
Exactly. You have
being
to have
a
that.
parent. That's one of the things that people forget, that your children need to learn to respect you. At the same time, there's a level of connection that you have to build where they're not completely afraid of being able to talk
Yeah.
to you.
About
It's
anything.
important. It's
Yep.
important, especially in these times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, some of us are okay. We grew up fine. We survived. We didn't have phones. You'll survive too.
Right.
Bro, I didn't have a phone till my senior year in high school.
Girl,
Bro, I didn't get a
girl,
phone until my 20s.
girl.
And
And I had
it
a
was one of them
Motorola flip.
prepaid flip phone. Yeah. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
That you
Okay.
have to like press the button multiple times when you're texting to get to the letters.
Yeah, yeah,
To the
Like, yeah.
letters.
exactly. And then I had the boost chirp for a little bit.
Yeah,
Like
I
I
had
was like,
that
I
too.
saw I was cool because I had two phones. You know what I mean?
That's what I had.
But
Before that, it was
no,
like
that's true.
going to your friend's house, knocking on the door to see if they was there to play.
And even that, like I
Oh, you
remember
did
having
that?
a phone in high school, but we only had certain minutes.
Oh, I remember that. And free
We
SMS.
Nothing.
only had
Don't
certain
call me before
texts.
9.
Facts.
Right.
You have normal conversations with your kids about school and everyday things so that they don't end up thinking that every talk is something major.
Facts.
Absolutely.
That part.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Because then you're just going to get, how was school? Fine.
Hmm.
That used to annoy my soul. What did you learn today?
really?
It was
I,
like, I want to hear fine. What did you do today? Nothing. So you didn't learn anything. No. The one word responses was to, at the after a certain age, you're
con
like,
putazo.
damn, yo, what happened? What happened? You used to talk to me all the time.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's one of the things too. Is like
Teenagers is different, bro.
they
Yeah.
are,
Can't stand them motherfuckers.
they are, but we're working through it. Okay. Yeah. 3 more years of high school.
I was with a friend of mine a couple weeks ago. We went up to this park upstate and is by a lake, and her aunt and uncle, much older, their kids are older, having kids now, and they were talking about teenagers and how horrible they are, but don't worry, they come back. I was like, when do they like start to be normal again? And they're like 22, 23, and sometimes the boys take a little long. I'm like, what the
Hey.
20s? What the hell?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where I think once they feel like they're an adult
Yeah.
Mhm.
or they're getting close to being an adult, that's when they start trying to act a little boy bye.
Mhm.
Boy bye. I'm still your mother. Yes, I'm 5'3". You gotta look down to talk to me, but still, I'll get on this fucking step ladder real quick and beat your ass. Try me.
That part.
Try me.
That part.
But you don't have to get on the stepladder to beat the ass.
You have right there the access.
I'm like at eye level. My daughter literally was like, "Mom, I'm 5'4". I'm taller than you. I'm like,
How was school? Nope. I asked them what was their favorite part of school, and you can't say lunch or recess, right?
That's a good one.
Exactly.
That's a good one.
Exactly.
hey, but Hugo, all the good chisme happens at lunch. I'm just
Facts.
Yeah.
saying.
What were you guys talking about? What was the conversation at lunch today?
I mean,
Mhm.
like I said, and this is the other thing too. As a parent, you have to understand that you may not always want to hear what they have to say, but how you react to it is how your kids will further respond to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're like, oh, well, so and so has a boyfriend or whatever, like, oh, like, don't have a boyfriend, like, that's not a good
Yeah,
thing.
you don't
Right?
want to
And
do
then,
that.
like,
Be like,
yeah,
oh,
so why
really?
would I tell my
And
parents
lying
that?
by omission shortly comes after that.
Exactly. So it's like you're setting them up to kind of like letting them know what you do and what you don't want to hear, what you're okay with hearing, what you're not
Yeah.
okay with hearing, and then they'll start doing that.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like you got to be mindful that you may not hear what you may not want to hear what they have to say, or may not be ready to hear what they have to say, but how you're going to handle it or your reaction to it is what's going to be able to continue allowing them to come to you and telling you things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What did Hugo put? Here about lunch.
Oh, I'll hear about lunch and recess anyway,
We'll be
since
back to
whatever they
it.
tell me was back to it. Right, that part.
They just bring it back.
Lunchroom is when all the drama happens.
Yes, that's the
So
most
Not for
interesting
me.
part, Hugo.
That's when I used to just play spades. Like that was like
really,
we was on us.
my lunch
Cards,
consists
it was
of
Uno. We used to play mad card games.
See, I remember
my
my
lunch
high school
consists of
lunches
truth or
were
dare.
this group. I remember would always be beatboxing and rapping and having battles,
That
and then
too.
the other
Yep.
ones, just kind of like cheering them on. Like my lunch would become like a whole battle session.
That it was big. I don't know if this was for you, Eva, but back then it was big for that grinding beat that they would do on the lunch table.
Yeah,
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah.
That was
and,
that big.
and I mean, it was fun.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah, good
remember it
lunch.
like that. I'm trying to remember. Like I had so many different circles. Like I was one of those
Right.
floaters that I was part of several different circles.
Hmm. I mean, so was I.
It's
I was
hard
friends
to
with like
remember.
football
Me too.
players, the preppies.
Truth
Truth
or
or
dare,
dare,
Anastasia.
Anastasia.
Uh-oh. I feel like
Oh,
that's a whole episode on what happened
well,
there.
that's probably
Oh,
like different episodes
yeah, that
because
at,
so
on the
much
lunch
happened in Truth
table.
or Dare. We
Oh,
literally we
Jesus.
literally had a table of boys and girls that I chilled with, and
Mhm.
it would be a Truth or Dare every day,
Nah, we didn't do
and
every
we
day, but
had the
we did
table
play
all the
that.
way in the back, and at the end of it, like everybody hooked up with everybody,
Jesus.
basically. That's actually how I
I
met
would
one
go
of my
for truth
girlfriends.
all the time, so I don't like dares.
That's actually how I ended up with one of my girlfriends.
Wow.
Yeah.
Truth or
My high
dare at the
school
lunch.
wasn't like fully like a normal person's high school. So, meaning
Please
like no,
explain
my high
I
school
mean,
yourself.
mine
years, I
wasn't
should say.
either.
My high school
Mm,
years.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine wasn't either.
So, freshman year, I fucked around too much. Uh, I cut a lot, did a lot of
I was
things I shouldn't
scared of
have, hanging
cutting.
out on the street, drinking, doing drugs. And then my sophomore year, I wasn't in school. I was in a drug rehab for my sophomore year. And stayed there 18 months. But then while I was there, it was like people from my school because my school was here, and then like a couple blocks down was the day service that I was in, and it was like one person one week coming from my school would be in there, another person I knew was in there too. So all of a sudden, it just became like, all right, this is everybody I'm in school with. Um, yeah. So then I went back to school junior year,
Okay.
and then finished my senior year.
See, and I may get this from my dad because now thinking about it, like I was even afraid of skipping school.
Really? Damn, I wish I had that because I
I'm
didn't
gonna
care.
tell you
Yeah.
this why. Because my dad would actually check in on me, my attendance.
Mm.
And I did not
Oh.
know this until I came in late
He
one
would
time.
call.
He would call.
Oh.
So I
My
didn't
mom
know
would show up.
this until I came in late and I was telling my attendance lady because she looked very young, okay? And so I was like, oh, like I'm running late, like I'm so sorry, like I was walking and this and that. She's like, oh, like don't worry, like it's okay, like I'll mark you, you know, like it's okay or whatever. I was like, okay. And then she's like, you do know that your dad calls to check in on your attendance, right? I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, like pretty much every other day he'll call and just to make sure that you're in all your classes. I was like, but I've never even given him a reason.
He just on it.
He was just on it. Now I understand.
I wish I cared then. I didn't. My mom would pop
Now
up
I
and I didn't
understand.
care.
But that's the reason why, because I knew that he would know. So
There was one
early bird
time my
right.
mom popped up and I was coming out the school and she was coming in the school.
Oh, hi. So where are you
And
going?
she was like, where the fuck are you going? And I was like, oh, I was just gonna run to the store. Have your dad call to check on you.
Right.
Exactly.
True.
Exactly.
I wish I was a better child then.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
happen to really like school a lot, and so I never cut.
I was the
So
only kid on senior skip day in class
stop it. You
with
went to
my
class?
fucking teachers.
Well,
I don't want to
see,
talk about it
I'm
anymore.
part of both. Like I like doing work. Like I like doing reports, learning things, that kind of thing. Um, but at the same time, I still wanted to do what I wanted to do. So at as many times as I cut and didn't go to school, I never failed a class
Mm.
because
Got
I
it.
always had my work done. And back then, and you wouldn't be true.
That part.
That's true. I do know, like as you get older, you really do know and understand. Not that I have kids of my own yet, but you do understand like what you put your parents through, and then you think about if you have kids. I would not have the patience for my bullshit of what I did. So,
And look, I'm gonna tell you
so
this because, and not that my kids like are perfect or anything, but they're not horrible kids. Like they're decent kids.
yeah,
But my daughter's attitude is mine.
and it's difficult, right? Like to.
Her face.
I'm talking about like, and not like she's disrespectful or anything, but like, let's say she doesn't like something, she's just like me. She'll immediately just shut down.
Mm.
Mm.
And after that, there's really like no coming back with it. The mother's curse. I hope when you have kids, they'll just be like, yes. So our attitudes are just kind of, but it also helps me understand her. You know what I mean? So, but like when I know she's acting a certain way, it's like, what's wrong? Like, what happened? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like I
Makes
know
sense.
where her mind's already kind of like at. Like I'm just shutting down. I don't care about anything right now. I don't care about anybody else right now. Please don't talk to me. Please don't bother me. Like type of thing. Because
Yeah.
that's how I get.
Mm.
And until I'm ready to talk about it, we
I'm
could
not
talk.
gonna talk about it. Yeah.
Till
Right.
then, leave me the fuck alone. You know, and so it's like it helps me understand her. But yeah, no.
And it was crazy is like thinking about like the things that are going on right now, right? Especially with these predators and stuff. And when I look back at what I used to do back then, because I was 13, turning 14, in the streets in certain areas of Staten Island in the middle of the night, where there was prostitutes out and what do you call them, pimps that pimp out women in the streets, not even having a thought of something could happen to me.
Right.
But now when I look back, it's like, bro,
What the fuck
I
was
could
I
have been
doing?
taken for trafficking. I could have been, who knows
Absolutely.
what the fuck could have happened being so young. So,
You were raised so different.
Yeah,
you know,
but and I
Um,
think maybe back then, even though it probably was there, obviously, you know, like you said,
walking to school.
all that, but maybe the predators back then had to work extra hard.
I think so, but they're still there because one of my brothers were
Yeah.
walking home from school. So where my parents' house is, on the end of the block, there's the expressway, right? On the other side of the expressway was a junior high school that we all went to. There was times we didn't tell our parents this until we're older now. What we used to do is run across the expressway to go to school instead of having to walk all the way around. Yes. So, um, there was one time my brother was coming home from school and there's a back way, but the back way is kind of like creepy. Um, but it was still daytime, and as he's walking home, a guy slowed down his car, asking for him to get in the car and he'll drive him home. And he's like, "No," and he kept on trying to get him in the car. So it's always been around.
Yeah.
It's just now it's more out in the open.
That, oh, I lost my puppy. Can you help me find my puppy?
That and that's the thing to see the difference in the times because we used to go to school on our own.
Yeah.
6th grade, 7th grade,
Oh,
8th grade.
I was thinking about
So
that. Like, I went back to the town or the city where I grew up, right? And I GPS'd it. The distance between, like, let's just say my middle school
mhm.
to like where I lived, walking, it says 45 minutes,
Jesus Christ.
which I don't remember walking for that much, but that's what I walked.
That was me going to high school. It was probably like 30-minute walk.
And I was in middle school.
That's crazy. Anything could have happened in that 45 minutes.
Anything. That's crazy. And I'm over here like, no, you're getting dropped off. You're getting picked up.
You see the difference in times? It is crazy. Because I walked to high school every day and back.
Mm-hmm.
It was a couple of us. We go to walk to school, walk back. Maybe they're adjusting walking speed for you.
Right. Maybe it was quicker back then.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But then that was the other thing too. Like my mom, I remember my parents always telling me, like, when you're walking home, make sure you're walking with a group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I made sure, I was always with a huge group. Like it was like, honestly, maybe about 10 of us walking home at the same time because we all lived in the same apartments.
Mm.
So we would all just kind of like,
that's good,
follow with each other. But 45 minutes.
But now if that happens, what you got to be worried about is the increase in human trafficking where they're just coming up with vans and grabbing you.
Yeah.
So it's just fucking scary.
It's sad because we when we hear human trafficking, and I'm pretty sure we've all seen the movie Taken,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of think about it as something that maybe doesn't even happen here.
Nah, bro.
And in California, when I found out that the biggest like sting was going on in Orange County, which was an hour away from me at most, where this was happening, human trafficking, the biggest thing was happening like literally in our backyard. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, this is really happening like everywhere and we just don't even see it, and it's happening in plain daylight. That's crazy for me.
They don't talk about it enough.
Nope.
They don't. And which is funny because like the same picture that we're using is like, oh, you want some candy?
Mm-hmm.
That was the one I think we were raised on. If
you want to go see my puppy?
Candy, you say no. Want to help me find my puppy? You say no. You see a van, you say no. You run the other direction. But like now, it's probably harder to maybe kind of pinpoint that.
Here's what I always had my mom gave me a blade when I was 14. So we always carried a blade. And we didn't have metal detectors in school, so it wasn't like anything bad there. But we didn't talk to nobody. We wouldn't stop for nobody. It was, straight to home, from
walking.
To
and
school.
You don't open the door because we have the key, so you gotta lock the door until we come home.
That part.
Open the door.
That part.
You don't open the door to nobody.
Nobody.
There's no reason for you to, right? Like, I don't know. It's different times. Different times, I guess.
Way different.
What are we talking next week?
So next week is uh back to school, right? If I'm not
I think
mistaken.
it was.
Want to make sure. Uh yeah, I think it is back to school, and let me go back.
Smuggling and
No,
trafficking is talked about, but in generalities and out there or friends of a friend herd type, there are more specific situations not discussed as much.
Yeah.
exactly.
Back to school tales from
No.
TV lunchrooms.
Ooh. Now, actually, next week is gonna be about. I know that we called it CNNing last time, but
Yes.
hmm
to fit our name, TNN. So about some recent things happening around the world that are some wild stuff
Okay.
regarding, like, Earth, weather things, global warming, stuff that we would never expect.
Current
And
events kind of thing.
yeah, current events. And then after the week after that, I'm gonna go into back to school. Who is responsible? The mom, the dad, both? Is
Both.
that responsibility? If you pay child support, are you still getting some supplies? It's gonna be interesting. So tune in for that too.
Awesome.
Both.
But
Yes.
this was a
What
good
the fuck?
conversation.
Gosh,
Oh
don't get
yeah,
me
yeah.
started.
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. Uh looking forward. Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me started on those. Okay, that
um,
would be interesting.
but yes. Great topic today. Thank you everybody joining in. Shout out to Hugo, always supporting, commenting.
Right?
hmm
Thank
Everybody
you,
else that was watching,
Hugo.
I seen the viewers going up, the views going
hmm
up. So,
Yeah.
if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. We'll be on every Saturday around 6:30 Eastern, and let us know if there's any topics that you would like us to cover. But that is going to be the next two topics. So if you know anybody going through it, or you're going through it yourself when it comes to school supply shopping and stuff for school, and I'm sure I've heard lots of stories.
How does it work in your
How
dynamic,
does it
your
work?
relationships and stuff like that?
And I always hear, I pay child support. I don't need to get you supplies.
That would
Okay.
piss me the fuck off.
So the tea is
But
gonna be there. Make sure you got drinks ready for those Saturdays. It's gonna definitely be interesting.
Okay.
Everyone have a great night. Enjoy your weekend. We will see you next
Stay
Saturday.
safe.
And my name is Anastasia.
And I'm Eva the Diva.
and of course, logically Valerie Mac. You guys have a great night.
Have a
Bye
great
guys. See you
night.
next week.
Bye.